Hello friends, welcome to this video lesson. Today we are going to discuss another important topic. The title of today's discussion is National Policy on Education NPE 1986 and National Education Policy NEP 2020. So these two national policy on education today we will be discussing. Before starting our discussion, let me to introduce myself. I, Dr. Niradhar De, Associate Professor, School of Education, Indira Gandhi National Open University. Welcome you all to this video lesson. Friends, as you know, presently we are in 8th week of your online course, and presently we are going through the 8th module of your course. The title of the module, that is Development of School Education in 1986 and after. You have already studied development of school education before 1986, and in this module it will address development of education, especially the national policy on education that was established in 1986, and further the other developments that have been taken place, just like the National Knowledge Commission. Then so far as school education curriculum is concerned, that is the National Curriculum Framework which was developed as per the NEP 1986, and the NCF was developed in 2005. Okay. So all these things are part of in this module. In this module, three important video lessons are there. The first lesson is National Policy on Education NPE 1986 and a National Education Policy NEP 2020 that we are going to discuss today in this session. And the second video lesson is National Knowledge Commission, that's called as popularly NKC 2006 to 2009, and further National Curriculum Framework NCF 2005, and particularly in NCF 2005 the teacher education aspects that's called as the National Curriculum Framework for Teacher Education NCF-TE 2009, which is developed by NCTE, will also the part of NCF 2005, because one is the school education curriculum and other is the teacher education curriculum, and that has been developed as per the NCF 2005. So that concepts are addressed in the third lesson. Now let us go forward to know the learning outcomes of today's lesson. I am very much hopeful that after going through this video lesson and the part E content which is given in your module, you will be able to achieve the defined learning outcomes. Just like you will be able to explain the basic features of National Policy on Education 1986, NPE 1986, then you will be able to discuss the fundamental principles of National Education Policy NEP 2020, and you will be able to describe the recommendations of National Education Policy NEP 2020, and further you will be able to critically analyze the recommendations of National Education Policy NEP 2020. I am hopeful that after going through this lesson, you will achieve these learning outcomes. Now let us go forward to understand the very nature of the national policy on education. I can say that so far there are three important national policy on education have been set up in the independent India, and these three national policy on education are just like National Policy on Education 1968, which was a full-fledged education commission. Recommendations were given in NPE 1968, starting from school education to higher education. It includes the professional and technical education also. Then the second National Policy on Education, that's called as NPE 1986, National Policy on Education 1986. And the third National Policy on Education in independent India, which is the recent development, that's the NEP 2020, National Education Policy NEP 2020. So friends, here the three important national policy on education is there. In this lesson, we will be discussing two national policy, NPE 1986 and NEP 2020. So far as NPE 1968 is concerned, you have already studied in the 7th module of your online course. Now, let me to focus upon the National Policy on Education NPE 1986. The NPE 1986 emphasizes that the role of education is to essentially transform a static society into a vibrant one with commitment, development and change. So, it focuses that how there will be a transformation so far as the policy and practice of education is concerned in the country. Okay, so that's why a vibrant education system, how a vibrant education system can be established is the you can say main take of the NPE 1986. The NPE 1986 policy reorganized that the need of access to education for all sections and getting them involved in the process of continuing education so as to promote a learning society. Okay, so how to recognize the need of access to education, whether the population, whether you can say the students, their access of education or not, getting the educational facilities at their reach or not, within their periphery or not, and how to promote it for creating a learning society. That means how to educate the people so that they can involve in different world of work. And further, the NPE 1986 report is divided into 12 parts. If you go through the entire report, you will find that total 12 parts of its report is there, and almost all aspects of education have been discussed in various parts of the report. Now, let me to focus upon some of the very important basic features of National Policy on Education NPE 1986. Just like the policy focused more on decentralization of education and establishment of district institute of education and training. So far as teacher education is concerned, the policy has given its recommendation for establishing DIET, that's called as District Institute of Education and Training. Now, you will find in every district, you will find a DIET where teachers training programs are offered, just like DLED, Diploma in Elementary Education, and at the same time they also offer other programs which is approved by the NCTE, National Council for Teacher Education, which is the regulatory body of teacher education program. And another basic feature of NPE 1986 is making sufficient funds available for education by increasing the expenditure up to 6% of GDP. So, how to reach, how to maintain the educational expenditure that is 6% of the gross domestic production GDP. And further, the uniform pattern of 10+2+3 system of education for all over the country was recommended for immediate implementation. I think it is a very popular concept of 10+2+3 system. This has been practiced from last more than 3 decades, and this system says that 10 years of school education, then 2 years of senior secondary education, and again 3 years of you can say undergraduate education. Okay, so that's why 10+2+3 system of education was recommended and it was implemented across the country. And for the reorganization of educational programs at primary, secondary and higher secondary level was also another basic feature. So, how to structurize and how to reorganize the entire school education system, and for the reorganization of school curriculum was also recommended. And as I have said that your next the third video lesson of this module is on NCF, National Curriculum Framework for Teacher Education. Okay, so there you will find that the NCF 2005 come forward with a detailed or you can say clear-cut change so far as school education curriculum is concerned. Then accordingly, textbooks have been developed for the students across the country, particularly at the school education level. And the other basic features of NPE 1986, just like early childhood care and education was given importance, free and compulsory education till completion of elementary level along with qualitative improvement in school was also recommended. Then reorganization of secondary school was also recommended. Then the compulsory school subjects such as languages, mathematics, science, social science, statistics, humanities, history and some concepts such as national and constitutional responsibility of citizen is given prime importance to teach to the students. So, it was reflected in the NPE 1986. Then further the other basic features are just like expansion of higher education was to be done with opening open university and distance education in institutions, and the mode of education was to be given equal status recognized by the University Grants Commission. So, friends, here try to understand. Distance education system is a type of alternative education system. India is a huge country, huge diversity is there, and so far as population is concerned, this is the second largest country in the world. We have more than 140 crores population in India. So, for providing education and for bringing the population to the mainstream of the society, only formal education system is not enough. Okay, so that's why the alternative education system that's called as distance education or the open and distance learning was also given importance in NPE 1986, and that is at par with the UGC, with the recognition of the University Grants Commission. Then recognition to be given to the role of technical and management education, it was also a feature of the NPE 1986. Then evaluation system is to be improved by adding continuous and comprehensive evaluation for certifying the learners. Then improvement in the teacher education program was recommended. NCTE was to be given a constitutional status that is by establishing diet as well as the CTE, College of Teacher Education. Then the other basic features are just like it was recommended to implement educational technology in Indian classroom, and to achieve minimum level of learning that's called as MLL. Minimum level of learning was decided and implemented. Minimum level of learning, it means what are the knowledge base, what are the skills and competencies, what are the defined graduated skills so far a particular standard of education is concerned, and that is also focusing on specifying different subjects. That means in mathematics, in science and social science, what content or what minimum content, what minimum competencies the learners should get. Okay, so that's why minimum level of learning was also decided and implemented by the National Policy on Education NPE 1986. Then equal opportunity for all was managed by giving special space to the women, scheduled caste, scheduled tribe, other backward caste and physically weaker section of the society. It was also focused. More schools to be opened and making resources available for the students who are located in the remote area. As I have said that India is a huge country, so far as population, so far as its diversity, so far as its geographical nature is concerned. So that's why sufficient number of schools should be there, particularly at the remote area, so that no child should be deprived to get particularly primary education or elementary education. Then IEDS scheme was launched for the students for the physical weaker section. Okay, it was also a basic feature. Now let me to focus upon the recent development now, that is the National Education Policy NEP 2020. The National Education Policy 2020 has been notified by the Government of India in July 2020. After 35 years of implementation of the last education policy that we are discussing, just now, that is the National Policy on Education 1986, the NEP 2020 has been come into force. So that's why it was a high need of the time that there should be a new education policy, and the country requires a new education policy, and though it is very late, but still now it is in the process of implementation of its recommendations starting from school education to higher education across the country. Now let me to focus upon some of the very important fundamental principles of the NEP 2020. NEP 2020 says that reorganizing, identifying and fostering the unique capabilities of each child should be a focus point of education. Try to understand. Reorganizing, identifying and fostering the unique capabilities. Every child is having certain ability, it is having certain aptitude. Okay, so it is the education, it is our education system. Our education system should identify the unique abilities, unique capabilities that is lying with the child, and accordingly provisions should be given, facilitation should be given, and you can say scopes should be given to the learners, to the students, to the child to get more education. Then another fundamental principles of NEP 2020 is to prioritizing achieving fundamental literacy and numeracy by all grades by grade 3. By all students by grade 3, try to understand. Achieving fundamental literacy and numeracy. That means by grade 3, all children should achieve the fundamental literacy and numeracy. Fundamental literacy and numeracy means this is the basic skills, you can say. That is the counting. So whether the children they are able to count, do the minimum mathematics or not, do the minimum calculations or not, and whether they are able to read and write or not. That means whether they have achieved the minimum competencies of language or not. So that's why fundamental literacy and numeracy was prioritized in the NEP 2020 in its fundamental principle. Then flexibility for students in selecting courses for their education. So here no rigidness should be there in the education system so far as in selection of different courses, different subjects for a particular stage of education is concerned. So many options will be there, and a flexibility will be given to the students that they can select their subject of their own choice. So varieties of subjects should be included. No hard separation between arts and science, between curricular and extracurricular activities, and further between vocational and academic stream. So here no hard separations will be there. That means a science scholar, a science student, if interested to study a subject or a course related to music, a course related to philosophy, a course related to other areas of knowledge, they should get that scope from our education system. So that's why though science based knowledge and arts, humanities and social science based knowledge is some extent different, but at the same time many a time you will find that there is certain correlations between or you can say the across the discipline. So that's why that separation should not be there. With the core knowledge, the interested learners, they can get the opportunity, get the scope to study the subjects of their own choice. Then between curricular and extracurricular activities, as per NCF 2005, National Curriculum Framework 2005 says that every curricular practices that are being conducted in the school are part of the curricular activities. Okay. So the things that we are doing for the all-round development of the child, we name them as co-curricular activities, as extracurricular activities, as non-scholastic activities, but really they are the part of the curricular activities of the curriculum. So that's why no hard separation should be there. And further between vocational and academic stream. So how to integrate you can say vocational courses, vocational subjects vocational stream, and different types of crafts and different types of vocations in the formal education system is also another fundamental principle, that the learners, they should get certain vocational knowledge and experiences from any type of education that they are pursuing. Then the other fundamental principles are just like bringing multidisciplinary and a holistic education across the sciences, social sciences, arts, humanities and sports. So how to create a holistic education system, and which is very much multidisciplinary in nature. Multidisciplinary in nature means, say, the learners, they should get opportunity to select subject from multiple disciplines. It is not a strict bound that the learner will study only the courses, only the knowledge which is based upon a particular discipline. So as per their aptitude, as per their interest, they can study certain other courses also. Further emphasis on conceptual understanding rather than rote learning and learning for exam. This has been observed that the students, what they are doing, they are just studying just to pass an examination. Okay, so they prepare examination and write something and they pass the examination. The aim of education is not like that. Rather, it is to emphasize on conceptual understanding, whether the learners are getting or understanding the very concept or not, understanding the very theoretical process or not, and whether the learners, they are able to apply the knowledge that they have gained from a particular stage, from a particular subject. Okay, so that's why how to discourage the rote learning, and at the same time how to encourage the conceptual understanding is also another fundamental principle of NEP 2020. Then development of creative and critical thinking of the children for doing certain innovative things, innovative activities. Then practice of ethics and human and constitutional values like empathy, respect for others, cleanliness, courtesy, democratic spirit, spirit of service, respect for public property, scientific temper, liberty, responsibility, pluralism, equality and justice. These are the important things that was part of the fundamental principles of the NEP 2020. And further, the other fundamental principles of NEP 2020 are just like promoting multilingualism and the power of language in teaching and learning. Try to understand. Promoting multilingualism. So how to address the learners who are coming from multiple language background in a classroom. So that's why how to promote it. Okay, so teacher, how to prepare the teacher, they can deal the students coming from across the culture. Okay, so this is one of the important or fundamental principle, and at the same time how to provide knowledge in multiple languages. So how to translate and how to provide learning materials to the students, to the remote students in their own languages, so that easily they can understand in their mother languages, you can say in their mother tongue, so that they can easily understand and understand the concept. Then accordingly they will understand, they can practice it also. Then further development of life skills such as communication, cooperation, teamwork and resilience. So these are the important aspects that we practice in our family, in our society, and at the same time in our schooling process. Then focus on regular formative assessment for learning rather than the summative assessment. Today's assessment is this is observed that in our education system more focus is given, more importance is given on summative assessment. So how to give more importance on the formative assessment. Okay, it was also another important fundamental principle. Then extensive use of technology in the teaching learning process. We all have experienced that today if you not use the technology, you cannot create, you cannot develop a good system or good education system, a transparent education system, a learnable education system for the learners, for the progressive learners. So that's why technology should be used in a very extensive way. It may be school education, higher education. So this is the fundamental principle, that how to use technology so far as in our teaching learning process is concerned. Then respect for diversity and respect for the local context in all curriculum, pedagogy and policy, always keeping in mind that education is a concurrent subject. Try to understand, we all know that so far as our constitution is concerned, education is a state subject, or you can say it is in the concurrent list. So that's why the diversity should be given importance, the local knowledge, the local context should be integrated with the curriculum. Then so far as our pedagogy is concerned, certain things should be incorporated in the pedagogy, basing upon our traditional knowledge and basing upon our traditional practices. Okay, it may be related with different types of craft, it may be related with different types of job, traditional job that we practice, and it may be related with the local value system, the remote value system also. Then practicing equity, equality and quality in education. So here let me to give one example. When we talk about equity, equality and equality, it is not only confined in wealth, it is not only confined in our economic status, in the infrastructure that we are getting in our institution, rather equality in knowledge. Whatever knowledge we are providing, all regions of this country, all parts of the country so far as the remote India is concerned. So there should be equality of knowledge structure, of the understanding. So then after, if we will spread it and if we will achieve equality of knowledge, then definitely the remote people, they will able to come to the mainstream of the society, and further synergy in curriculum across all levels of education. So how to maintain a synergy? That means every stages of education are linked with, the earlier stage is linked with the further stage. The knowledge that the learners have acquired from the school education system, further it is very much required to understand the concept which is included in the senior secondary or as well as the higher secondary stage. So that as well as the higher education stage. So that's why a synergy in curriculum across the level of education should be required. This is also one of the fundamental principle. Then the other fundamental principles are teachers and faculty as the heart of the learning process, their recruitment, continuous professional development, positive working environment and service conditions should be given importance. Outstanding research as a core requisite for outstanding education and development should be achieved. Then deeply rooted to feel proud to be an Indian. Okay, so that's called as the NKC, National Knowledge System. Okay, so here how to understand the traditional knowledge of our country, then accordingly how to feel pride that we are the national of this country and we are practicing the we have achieved the unity so far as huge diversity is there in our country. So these are the certain important fundamental principles basing upon which the NEP 2020 that has been conceptualized and recommendations are given. If you go through the recommendations of NEP 2020, you will find that the recommendations are given in 4 different parts. Part 1 includes the school education, part 2 includes higher education, part 3 includes the other key areas of focus, and part 4 it includes making it happen. So now let me to very briefly go through some of the important recommendations of NEP 2020. First of all, early childhood care and education, that's the foundation of learning. So dedicatedly this has been discussed that early childhood care education should be formalized. A curriculum framework should be developed for early childhood care education for the teachers, and teachers should train who will teach to the nursery students, the pre-primary students. Okay, so for them a curriculum framework will be developed and proper professional training will be given to them. Then foundational literacy and numeracy, that is an urgent and necessary requisite to learning that has been realized and recommended by the NEP 2020. I have already said that how to achieve the basic language skills as well as basic computation skill is also recommended by the NEP. Then curtailing dropout rates and ensuring universal access to education at all levels. Try to understand, we have we are practicing the Right to Education Act, RT Act 2009. Okay, RT Act 2009, it says that all the children of this country, of the state, it is their right, it is their fundamental right to get elementary education, that is from the age group of 6 to 14. So that's why how to curtail the dropout by implementing the RTE Act, Right to Education Act, and how to ensure the universal access to education at all levels of education. Then further, curriculum and pedagogy in schools that focuses learning should be holistic, integrated, enjoyable and engaging. So how to develop curriculum and pedagogy which is very much engaging, which is very much enjoyable, which is very much integrated and which is very much holistic and inclusive in nature. Then further, new pedagogical and curricular structure of school education, just like popularly we call that is as the 5+3+3+4 system of school education. Okay, 5 years of foundational stage of school education, then 3 years of preparatory stage, then again 3 years that's called as the middle stage, and further 4 years that's the secondary stage. Okay, and first 5 years is the foundational stage, that includes 2 years of nursery education, pre-primary education, 3 years and 2 years of formal education, that is class 1 and class 2. Then accordingly we have to develop the curriculum, accordingly we have to transfer the system and the new curricular structure that is getting practiced across the country. Then for the teachers, continuous professional development, how the teachers will develop themselves, and the recent development knowledge, it may be relating to a subject, it may be relating to pedagogy. So how to train, how to acquaint the teachers, so that type of professional training, that type of professional development courses should be implemented. And further, equitable and inclusive education, that is learning for all. So how to create an environment of inclusive education and equitable education, and how to provide a similar types of educational treatment. It may be teaching facilities, it may be curriculum to provide a similar types of learning experience to provide to all the population, to all the children. So that is also another recommendation. Then efficient resourcing and effective governance through school complexes and clusters. So how to create the school clusters and school complexes. That means taking a group of schools, how we can use the resources of each other, how we can use the teachers, expertise of the teachers of each other, and how to you can say use the resources, and at the same time how to engage the school cluster or the school complexes in doing different activities. The other recommendations of NEP 2020 on higher education, that is quality universities and colleges, to establish quality universities and to practice quality education in the universities and colleges, institutional restructuring and consolidation, holistic and multidisciplinary education. So how to provide multidisciplinary education? I have already said that education or the learning or the knowledge or the experiences are not limited in a single discipline. So that's why our education system, the curriculum that we practice, it should be multidisciplinary in nature. Okay, so the learners, they should get enough scope, enough opportunity, enough facility to select their own course and to engage themselves in learning. Then further, optimal learning environment and support for the students. So how to create the optimal learning environment, a learning environment that will provide all type of education and that will facilitate and that will help the learner for their all-round development. And now the other recommendations are just like motivated, energized and capable faculty. So how to create good faculty, quality faculty? Because when the development of education is depends upon the quality faculty and the quality treatment. Unless we have the quality, we have the motivated and energized capable faculty members, then we cannot expect that quality learners or quality citizens will be created. Further, equity and inclusion in higher education, to provide equitable higher education system at all parts of the country is also another recommendation. Then teacher education. So how to bring transformation in teacher education system, and if I will focus upon the recent practices or the new development that's called as transformation in teacher education program. The 2-year teacher education program by 2030, it may be stopped, and now the new teacher education program that are being practiced and they're going to be practiced, that's called as the ITEP program, integrated teacher education program, 4-year integrated teacher education program. That means after 12th, just like the learners, they're entering to different professional programs, just like in medicine, in technology, in engineering, in law, in management. Here also, after completion of 12th standard or higher secondary or senior secondary school education, one can enter to the 4-year integrated teacher education program, and they will get a dual degree, a graduation degree of their subject, and at the same time curriculum will be integrated with teacher education, so that they will get a B.Ed degree also, Bachelor of Education degree also, and they will eligible to be a teacher after completion of the 4-year integrated teacher education program. And this is just the one recommendation. Accordingly, many other recommendations are there in teacher education. Then reimagine vocational education. So how to practice vocational education, how to integrate vocational courses, crafts and different types of vocation even if in the formal education system. Okay, so that is also the important recommendations. The other recommendations are just like quality academic research. The university, you can say the status of the university is not only established through its teaching and learning process only, rather quality research, quality academic research as well as the extension activities. So that's why NEP 2020 has given importance upon the quality research, and this is also recommended for raising you can say the research fund, for raising scholarship, so that the learners and the teachers, they will be motivated for doing different types of research, different types of academic research in the university and colleges. And for the transforming the regulatory system of higher education, there should be one regulatory system, and under that regulatory system different presently existing regulatory bodies just like NCTE, BCI, RCI and other types of regulators, they will come under you can say the central regulatory system. Then effective leadership and governance in higher education is also another important recommendation of NEP 2020. The other recommendations are developing and practicing quality professional education, then adult education and lifelong learning, then promotion of Indian languages, arts and culture. So how to integrate the Indian values, Indian knowledge in the curriculum is also important aspect. Then technology use and integration of online and digital education is also a prime necessity at this time. So friends, these are some of the recommendations, and I can just very briefly take the name of other recommendations are just like strengthening Central Advisory Board of Education, then affordable and quality education for all by proper financing, effective implementation of the recommendations, then technology use and integration. Nowadays, we are learning many things from social media, we are learning many things by using open and distance learning system as well as the blended and online learning system. This is only possible through using the multimedia, it is through using the technology. So, that is why here importance is given in the NEP 2020 that how to use technology in extensive ways, okay, and accordingly how to develop the curriculum. Friends, now let me to focus upon some of the questions for your practice. Just like I am hopeful that at this time, at this moment, after going through this video lesson and the part E content, you will be able to answer these questions. You can practice these questions also, just like explain the basic features of NPE 1986, what are the fundamental principles of NEP 2020, what are the recommendations of NEP 2020 on school education, explain the new pedagogical and curricular structure of school education as per NEP 2020, then what are the recommendations of NEP 2020 on higher education, what are the recommendations of NEP 2020 on key areas of focus, then finally critically analyze the recommendations of NEP 2020 particularly on school education. So, friends, today in this video lesson we have discussed the principles and the basic features of National Policy on Education NPE 1986 as well as the fundamental principles and the recommendations of NEP 2020, National Education Policy 2020. In our next session, we will be discussing on other aspect of your course. Thank you.